Well, hello, folks. Roger Green here, and I'm with Nam Singh. And I've had the privilege to work with Nam Singh for many decades now. And as you know, the Academy Healing Nutrition has some very, very unique features to it. We train our students in the longevity diet. So we bring in traditional Chinese medicine, tonic herbal medicine, gourmet whole food cooking. We draw on cultures of longevity. And this is a 40-year-old curriculum now where essentially we've never had to change the guidelines and principles of the longevity diet. So in session together, Nam Singh and I are going to talk about the upcoming workshop in April, which is an in-house workshop. And this very, very exciting concepts of using the culinary herbs from Taoist philosophy that have been used for 5,000 years that essentially enable the person to really sort of go into a deeper level of healing to the sort of the root causes of a lot of their ailments. And as you know, our students study yin and yang, the 5 elements. This is basically the way the cycles of nature works and is represented in our body with the organ systems and so forth. And we also talk about the 3 treasures, the energy of the sky, the energy of the earth, and the energy of the human. And we translate that into Jing, Qi and blood, and Shun or spirit. Now, these might sound complicated concepts, but they're not. You can start to learn these pretty much straight away. So this is a beginner's course in using tonic herbal medicine. And it's for all levels, right? Especially for those who really, really want to take control of their health. Right? And to also take their culinary experiences to the next quantum level, right? Which is actually using these powerful culinary herbs, right? And it's not complicated, right? So we're going to introduce you to 5 or 6 herbs in this session, and we're going to show you how we're going to put them into some of the recipes and talk about some of the energetics. And I'm actually going to make a #1 longevity tonic herbal. I call it a coffee, but it's technically not a coffee, but it's got a coffee-like flavor to it. And see, we're going to be using this famous herb here, Rhamania, which nourishes what we call the kidney yin or the deep essence. So for students of longevity, this is the #1 herb that you start to use. Kind of like once a week is enough, right? And I'm going to show you how you can simply make a nice, very, very sort of a soothing, sort of coffee-like beverage, right? Which is good for strengthening the bones, strengthening the Qing, strengthening the kidney energy, strengthening the mind, strengthening the bones, the knees, strengthening the hair. Chinese medicine is multi-dimensional. So these herbs often have multi sort of effects. So if somebody has sleeping problems, building up the yin is very, very good, right? Somebody's ungrounded, somebody's losing bone strength, etc. All sorts of dynamics can happen with this one very, very powerful healing herb, which nobody knows about in Western. It's as cheap as anything, right? So I'm going to introduce you to Nam Singh, who essentially has a very, very interesting background. Nam was involved with one of the early Taoist monasteries in Taiwan from an early childhood experience from 5 years right up to his late teenage years. And then these sort of Taoist monasteries, they essentially don't exist anymore, where you learn all of the arts of the Taoist philosophy, you know, Qigong and acupuncture and feng shui and cooking for medicine and the herbs, etc. So, and then he became one of the pioneers of TCM in California. We've had the privilege of working with Nam on the Academy Healing Nutrition curriculum for a couple of decades now. So I'm just going to hand it over to Nam Singh to give us a brief introduction and then tell us why you think these tonic herbs are important to use in our healing dynamics.
The one thing about the herbs is there's many different categories. There's major tonics, there's minor tonics, and then there's the medical tonics and things like that. The herbs that we're focusing on here is mainly what the grandmothers used to use for in their everyday cooking, which are they're medicinal, but they're a little bit different than the herbs that are used in a lot of strong formulas and things like that. But they cross over. So primarily they're considered to be safe because it's just like food. But they're the type of herbs that you can take over a long period of time, as opposed to like a formula where you take it for a certain period of time and then you get reevaluated, and then the formula will change and things like that. These types of herbs are basically implanted into the pantry, where you see them frequently. They're used in soups, and sometimes they're used in teas and in stews and so forth. You become very familiar with their taste, their sight, the smell, and then eventually their energetics. So they're easily obtained because they're very popular. And depending on your individual constitution, you might take some more than others. But like Roger was talking about with Romania, there's two different types. There's the raw and there's the steamed, and they both have different energetics. And one thing about the steamed Romania is that sometimes you don't even have to cook it. You can just soak it in water overnight. The steamed one, the prepared one. That one is fortified because it's cooked with other things. You can just soak it in water overnight and leave it in the fridge or leave it on the counter, and then the next day you can drink that water. It's kind of like a morning tonic. And the other thing about the Romania is that it becomes very, very well known as we get older, because it's such a great tonic. As we age, it can help prevent a lot of age-related problems because it's so nourishing to the body. So anyway, my understanding of tonic herbs was mainly introduced because it supports our practice. And as a young person, usually you don't have to take a lot of tonics, but because of the type of practices we do, we actually need, because we expend a lot of energy, getting up at 3 in and doing physical education and things like that, and it's very demanding. So it's to support our practice, just like you eat to support your practice, whatever that is. But this is fortifying and helping how we eat. So that's why I call it cooking with Chinese herbs. The herbs are incorporated into the meal as opposed to just taking them on their own. Chinese medicine is usually not one herb at a time. It's a combination. They're orchestrated. And one of the nice things about it is that you don't have to know much in the beginning. And that's why we introduce the use of juks very early in the program, so that you can start playing with these herbs, because juk is one of the easiest things to make, and it's a lot of fun because you can add different things to it for whatever reason. So if you have a existing condition, you find out a little bit about the energetics of food, the energetics of the herb, you can actually start changing your negative aspects of your constitution into a positive situation. So I never learned herbs as like a special kind of thing. It was just kind of it was a kind of a foundational support. And after many years, that's when I realized it's special because it's it it supports everything. It supports all three treasures in our body. So depending on if you have weak Jing or weak Shen or weak Qi, or if you have too much of those, then you vary those so that you can kind of have this nice flex motion in the body as opposed to extreme highs and extreme lows. So so that's my understanding of how to use herbs. And since a lot of you, this subject matter is probably very new, you think that it's very complicated, but it's not. And you sort of, Americans are really up in their head, and they're just so can be very kind of stuck in a box frame of mind. But herbs can help you to get out of that box. So that's one of the nice things about it.
Wow, thinking outside of the box, Nam Singh.
Yeah, I
Sounds
think
good to
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we've got about 20 herbs that we're going to be working with in the workshop in New York. It's a 3-day course, but we're just going to talk about, say, a half a dozen of them here now with you. For instance, I've got some astragalus here, and this is often what we put into the stocks. And this is the #1 immune system herb that we have in Chinese medicine. And, you know, Western medicine is kind of catching up with that, with all the astragalosides that are in here that are really, really good for the immune system. And, you know, those supplements become quite expensive to buy, but in actual fact, just putting 1 or 2 of these into your stock, and we're very big on stocks in this curriculum because of their effect on the immune system, the digestive system, all sorts of properties to stock. But also this is what we call lifting the yang in the body. Now, yes, there's yang and there's yin, there's up and then down energy. So this is also used for things like prolapse and anti-aging and all sorts of dynamics. Nam, do you want to just talk briefly about astragalus, and then we'll go on to like another 4 or 5 herbs that we can
Right.
just briefly.
Well, for an example, astragalus is considered a warm, has a warm energetics. Its flavor is somewhat sweet, and it affects the lungs, the spleen, and the triple warmer. It strengthens the primary energy and tonifies and warms the body. The interesting thing about astragalus or huangqi is that in Chinese medicine, we don't have a concept of like immune. So we refer to the immune as the wei qi. So the thing that it focuses on is the wei qi, which is your armor. And the wei qi is an actual existing type of energy that travels between the skin and the flesh of the body. So it's kind of like it would be like wearing a sweater underneath your t-shirt or something like that. It protects, it keeps out the what we refer to as the evil wind that can penetrate the body, that can penetrate deep into the body. So it's sort of like an armor. So it's a very protective type of herb. And it's really nice. It has somewhat of a sweet flavor. So I always tell people that you can just boil it a little bit and put it in your water bottle. Instead of just drinking plain water, you can drink flavored water, but also be strengthening your wei qi at the same time.
Right. We're going to be using Angelica, or what's known as Dong Qua, in this workshop. And on a simplistic level, we say Dong Qua is the woman's herb and ginseng is the man's herb, but that's very simplistic because you can use both. But essentially, we're going to be covering women's health problems in this coming workshop. And one of the major regulators for the cycle is Dong Quai. And there's sometimes these pills you can buy from China called women's precious pills, right? So we're going to be showing the students like a really, really powerful tonic soup that everybody can use, by the way. Men also get blood deficiency and all sorts of dynamics going on, but this is a major tonic for women's health. Tell us a little bit more about Dong Quai.
Well, the interesting thing about Dong Quai is that it's considered. They say like ginseng is the emperor of herbs, and Dong Quai is the empress of herbs. Dong Quai helps to harmonize and regulate the hormonal aspect. It's really good for helping when it comes to like during the menstrual cycle. You usually take it before the cycle and not during, because if you take it during, it will increase it, and that's not what you want to do. So Dong Quai is very important. For men, it sort of calms down the yang. So I say, if men takes Dong Quai, if you have the what I refer to as the John Wayne syndrome, just too strong, then you can calm it down with Dong Quai, because Dong Quai sort of raises the more yin aspect in the body. Its atmospheric energy is warm. Its flavor is sweet and pungent. It enters the heart, the liver, the spleen, and the kidneys. It's considered a tonic for the blood. And really, when it comes to women, when it comes to human beings in general, blood is what we are. We produce blood. But Dong Quai has a way of nourishing blood and moving blood, and in a way in which a lot of herbs do not do that. It's also used after childbirth, because it moves stagnant blood out. And there's so many soups and recipes that you can use Dong Quai in, and it's very it has a kind of a strong flavor, so it's really good in stewed dishes. If you're a meat eater and you can cook it with beef, you can cook it with lamb, of course, you can cook it with chicken. So, but then there are times too where it's not appropriate. So, but it is considered one of the most important herbs for women, and for strengthening, improving the quality of blood.
So at the Academy Healing Nutrition, in our 1-year training, we have some modules focusing on what we call health assessment. And we do this through the energetics of yin and yang and the 5 elements. And students learn concepts of things like dryness and how that affects the body, heat, overactivity, these kind of things. Cold can affect and rob the energy of the kidneys. And then there's this concept called damp, which with the modern diet and the weak digestive system, people kind of get this sluggish congestion, water retention, heaviness, overweight, etc. And there's some very, very powerful herbs that we have for what's called draining the damp, right? So for instance, we're going to be covering that in the workshop, but for instance, one of them is tangerine peel, right? Which has a very, very deep extraction of what we call cold damp and really stuck stagnation in the body. Just tell us a little bit more about tangerine peel, Nam Singh.
But the interesting thing about tangerine peel is that it's most people just you eat the tangerine and you throw away the peel, but the Chinese found out that tangerine peel is very beneficial. It's very good for the stomach. It helps to calm the energy in the stomach. And there's many different qualities of tangerine peel. And the older the peel, the better, actually. People don't realize that. And it can be pretty inexpensive and it can be very expensive. Uh, tangerine peel has a wonderful citrus uh, smell and flavor. So it's used a lot in stewed dishes, which are very, very common. It has a slightly warming effect. It also is an antifungal as well. So especially in any sort of digestive situation going on, if you have any sort of fungal thing going on in the intestines, it will help clear it out. Tangerine peel, as far as in cooking, it's mainly used in stewed dishes or simmered dishes. It also can be broken up and added to rice and some other seasonings when you actually want to smoke, like smoke a chicken or smoke fish or smoke dishes. It's a very, very common but very functional type of herb.
So Nam Singh, you know, with last year, the Academy had this wonderful summer retreat in Yorkshire in the UK, and we had a whole session, a couple of sessions from you on medicinal mushrooms and all the various ways, you know, you can incorporate them into smoothies and your diet and stocks and broths. And of course, we're going to be covering a number of these medicinal mushrooms in the workshop. But let's just do a little brief on reishi, the Japanese term. And this is kind of considered the #1 tonic adaptogenic mushroom. And of course, on a fundamental level, these are amazing for the immune system. But we take, you know, we look at the spirit of foods and herbs. So these medicinal mushrooms had a powerful effect on the nervous system, which we interpret as a spirit or something for your psychology, for your mental activity, and for you developing your spiritual life and the alignment with the Tao, with the divine, with God, or whatever you want to put, whatever word you want to put there. So just tell us a little bit about your experience with the amazing family of medicinal mushrooms.
Well, when it comes to reishi is kind of the emperor of mushrooms as well. And as it became popular, the more rare it became. They say that the best reishi is the reishi that is, or we call it elixirs. That's the Chinese name. Reishi is the Japanese name. So the elixirs is the type of mushroom that is considered more spiritual and in certain ways. The shape of the mushroom it's used a lot in Chinese cultural. It's painted on vases. They actually make a wand, carve a wand in the shape of the reishi, which they call the wishing wand, meaning that it is the wand to make all your wishes come true. And for those who are a little upper class and have the money, to present someone with a jade wand with the head of the mushroom on it is a very, very high honor. It's actually used in Taoist ceremonies as well as a amulet. But the reishi is a very powerful mushroom, and it's very interesting. You see, the thing that about most mushrooms is that the energetics of mushrooms have a tendency to go very deep into the body. They don't just go in and then you poop them and pee them out. No, reishi even penetrates into the bone marrow. So it's an incredible, valuable mushroom, and it's used a lot in treating cancer. So treating cancer and life-threatening diseases and prevention as well. You see, one of the things about Chinese herbs is we don't just wait until we get sick before we start taking them. These things are introduced to young children sparingly, because actually when you're very young, you don't need a lot of tonification. But as we get older, we do. But in small amounts, even at a young age, it's fine because depending on your lifestyle, what kind of work you do, and things like that, it can aid because it has a way of giving you that strong, vital energy from the bone marrow to the surface of the skin. So for cancer therapies, for most life-threatening therapies, reishi is used quite frequently in many forms, from drying it out into capsules and pills and things like that, or just having it cut up. Now it's so fibrous that you can't really eat it unless it's ground up into really, really fine powder. Then you can take it in a capsule. But there's many ways that it can be prepared. So it has a strong flavor. It's it has a tendency to have a very woody kind of taste to it. So it's kind of like a coffee taste or chicory taste. But like I say, mushrooms generally have a tendency to go deep to the body. Some go further, like the reishi goes the furthest. It goes all the way to the marrow. So for someone who has something like bone cancer or something like that, reishi will probably be part of the formula for helping to rid it out. Now, when mushrooms go deep into the body, what happens is once the energy goes as far as it's supposed to go, then it sort of turns around and it pushes out. So it's kind of like a bulldozer. Bulldozer pushes the dirt, pushes it away. So whatever kind of stuff that needs to be pushed out of the body, mushrooms have a tendency to do that. Shiitake is really good at that. As eating shiitake mushrooms, you would think that once a mushroom is pulled and it's dried and everything, that there's really no life there, but it's not true. The energetics of mushroom is very important, and if it just happens to taste good, that's a plus. But mushrooms have a tendency to push things out of the body and to restore. It's a restorative energetics. Reishi mushroom, black mushrooms, the Chinese refer to as black mushrooms. And then there's the oyster mushroom, maitake mushroom, so many different types that, but anyway, in our course, we're going to have several dishes made with different types of mushrooms that will go into each one of them a little deeply, and then make a nice flavorful dish using those particular mushrooms. Mushrooms are considered kind of the nether world because they grow underground. So they have a certain type of intelligence that is different than the intelligence of herbs that grow on the top of the ground. When you see the mushroom, that's just nice. But the real energetics of the mushroom is the network that is underneath the ground, communicating with the trees and all the other plants. It's
magical.
a magical vegetable.
Yeah.
So we use these mushrooms in different ways to provoke certain aspects in our body. So in many cultures, mushrooms are very revered because of how they can affect the body, not just on a medicinal level, but on a spiritual level as well. Like Fu Ling, there's two types of Fu Ling. Fu Ling, and it's considered a fungi because it grows on the root. It grows on the root of the pine tree and then under the ground, and it looks like chalk. It's so white. Yeah.
Well, as folks can read up about in our course description, there's about 20 herbs that we're going to be working with. It's a practical workshop where you'll see Nam Singh cooking with these herbs, talking about the energetics, and you'll be experiencing the taste of these herbs. And as you can see, you have to sort of kind of know what you're doing with these herbs because they do have sometimes quite a powerful sort of taste and bitterness and so forth. So you need to sort of develop your skill base to be able to make them palatable and add them into your weekly cuisine. So look, they're readily available as well. Now in our April training, we're on the Monday, we're also offering a Chinatown tour where there's a lot of these herbs that are just simply available and they're very, very economical to buy, but you can also buy them over the internet. So, you know, for instance, Job's Tears, very easy to buy, again, very good for getting rid of internal heat, and it's been used a lot for cancer therapies and Chinese medicine. Fox nuts, using in the juk, very, very nutrient dense, amazing. This is the Chinese yam that we'll be using, very, very good for the damp qualities. Now, red dates, readily available, a very, very good blood tonic, and I'm going to be using some red dates in my Romania tea that I'm just going to throw together for you now. And of course, goji berries, very readily available. So we're going to be talking about all of these energetics in the April training. And also there's a Thursday evening introduction where myself and Nam Singh, we're going to go through how do you approach this, some of the energetics like yin and yang, and what is the three treasures, using the 5 elements in understanding health, and you know, sort of cooking with nature, cooking with the seasons, right? Then we go into a 3-day workshop. Basically, it's held in Manhattan. And then on the Monday, there's an optional Chinatown tour. So what I'll do now, Nam Singh, is I'm just going to show folks how, you know, to begin with, how easy it is to start to use this. So for instance, I've got here a pot of water. Now, I haven't had a chance to soak this overnight. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But here's the Romania, the powerful longevity herb.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that the cooked one or the?
Yeah, it's the cooked one. Yeah. Let me hold up the packet. Very, very readily available. Doesn't cost much at all, right? Just a couple of bucks for that. Now, the trick is to sort of get a little bit of flavor in there. And that's why we like to use what we call the Chinese licorice. So just while I'm doing this, Nam Singh, talk a little bit about the Chinese licorice. So guys, I'm only going to put like 2 into this. It's quite a strong effect.
There's 2 types of Chinese licorice. One is kind of thick. It's a thick cut one. That's the better quality as opposed to the thin cut one. The thick cut one is very, very noticeable. So if you go to a pharmacy, tell them that that's the one you want. You want the thick cut one. Gansao is the name of the Mandarin name for that. Its flavor is sweet, and it enters all 12 meridians, which is very important because there's not many herbs or foods that actually affect all 12 meridians in the body. So this is really nice that it does, and that it actually tastes good. Now, some people have to be careful with licorice because it might not agree with them. But generally speaking, if you're in pretty good health and you don't have problems with blood pressure and things like that, licorice is fine. So it enters all 12 meridians, especially the spleen, the stomach, kidneys, and the lungs. So this is a very important. You can also, it's also used in spice mixtures. Sometimes the 5 spice will have ground up licorice in it as well.
Right.
And also it's used in smoking mixtures too, where it's star anise and tea and rice and some cinnamon, Sichuan peppercorns and things like that. They will throw some licorice in there as well. So yeah. So when it comes to licorice, you always want to get good quality. It revitalizes the center part of the body. And also a little goes a long way. Like,
Yeah.
and if you get especially if you get the stronger one, you only need one piece because it has a very strong taste.
That's why I just put 2 pieces into
Yeah.
this. I'm going to add some red dates, folks. So as simple as that. So far, the Romania, 2 little pieces of licorice. Usually put about 8 or 9 red dates in there because it's not only sweetens it, but it's also just sort of adds to the smoothness and the yin, the blood tonic effect of this. And I'm going to add just 1 or 2 chaga mushrooms into this. Very, very good for the immune system. Plus, it's also got an incredible coffee-like flavor. Sometimes you can just make the chaga mushroom coffee, right? So I've just added a little bit of that. Occasionally, not always, I might add just like an inch of the astragalus. You've got to be careful with astragalus because it can affect the taste of this brew. I mean, this is a brew that I give to my neighbors and they just absolutely love it. And of course, the conversation starts about how this is good for their sleeping problems and insomnia and their weak bones and so forth. So it's just now a matter of brewing that, guys. So you'd brew it for, say, like a half an hour at least. And you can add to it, you know, because it kind of keeps giving and giving. So that could be on the stove for the next couple of days without me adding anything more to it. And it just gets to the point where it doesn't give anymore and you can add it to the compost. Now, here's the trick, at the very, for flavor, at the very end, I put like 2 drops of vanilla in there, right? Just 2 drops is enough. So again, you get this lovely warm sort of flavor with the energetics of the Romania, right? Now, if you like,
The nice thing about vanilla is because there's a lot of warming ingredients in this, and the vanilla helps so that warming doesn't get too much.
right.
Even though most people just think that vanilla is just a flavoring. No, it has a medicinal value.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It was nice for this combination. And the other thing with the licorice that's in this is that licorice also affects the bone marrow. So this is very good. So a lot of athletes and things like that, where they're doing athletic things that are very rough on the body, you've got to have strong bones. So yeah, licorice is good for that.
So I'm going to switch over to our little PowerPoint presentation just to take people through some of the logistics. Again, describing the April workshop. That Thursday night is April the 25th, and it's at like 7 o'clock for a couple of hours. Nam Singh and I will go through you learning how the universe works, yin and yang, and how it works inside your body and how it works in cooking. Then we've got this wonderful 3-day workshop, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's practical. We actually set up like a kitchen where the Academy Healing Nutrition is famously practical. We show our students how to develop these skills that you need, these practical skills in your kitchen to enhance your life and deal with ailments and all sorts of health problems. And then on the Monday, we're offering the Chinatown tour. So it is held in downtown Midtown on the east side. And as I've said, actually, technically, if you want, you can come to the Thursday night introduction. Otherwise, we start 9:30 in the morning on Friday the 26th. So here's some pictures of some of the herbs that we're going to be using in the workshop. As you can see, you're now introduced to the Romania. You'll see the cordyceps there, see some of the mushrooms, the eucomia, which is very, very good for healing bones. And you'll see the reishi there, the astragalus, etc. So I think you're starting to get to know Nam Singh and his background, a very, very interesting background, and a real expert on cooking with the culinary herbs from perspective of Taoist Tonic Herbal medicine and this 5,000-year-old tradition. Of course, some of the benefits of this is like, obviously, what you're learning is about longevity and increasing your vitality. These herbs have a very, very powerful, first of all, they're always nutrient dense, right, which is what you're after, and powerful anti-inflammatory properties, powerful antioxidant. And of course, we're going to be looking at specific herbs and their healing abilities for various health problems, right? And then, of course, it's also about just extending your culinary experience. A lot of people just get stuck, even around whole food cooking, you know, which we celebrate. Gourmet whole food cooking is very much one of the themes of the Academy Healing Nutrition. But this takes you to the next level, takes you to that quantum level, right? And as we said, it's just a matter of starting with 2 or 3 herbs, getting to know them, integrating them perhaps once a week. And then over the next couple of years, you can gradually, you know, develop your skill set to, you know, really master, you know, this idea of living to 120, no degenerative disease, which is what we're after here. So these are some of the herbs that we're going to be pretty much covering. We're going to make sure that we cover all of these, right, in the various applications and recipes and the teas and the broths and so forth, and talking more about the energetics. And we physically have these herbs available for you to sort of, you know, that's what learning is about. It's that whole sensorial level that you know, you're in the workshop with us, you get to touch it, taste it, see how it's cooked, etc. That really, really is the deep healing learning experience, if you ask me. So yes, you'll be tasting the prepared dishes and learning how to cook them. You'll be learning that very, very powerful tonic herbal soup for women's health, learning about the superfood mushrooms. You'll be learning about Jing and Qi and Shen, the real deep essences of the human body, mind, and soul. And of course, you'll be connecting with other people, like-minded individuals, also on their health adventure. And, you know, some sample recipes here. You know, we really do cover a lot of recipes, but as a, you know, basic concept here, we love working with dishes that are digestible, tasty, and what we call fortifying the qi in the blood. Yes, we have various approaches to detoxification, etc., but the focus on using the herbs and the foods and these dishes is about re-establishing your constitutional, re-establishing your qi in your blood and your human essences. So that's what we're focusing on. Here's the wonderful Revitalize the Valley, the woman's tonic soup. So you'll be learning how to use that. There's a little picture of it there. And on that Thursday evening, Nam Singh and I will go through some of the energetics involved. So you get to know yin and yang and the 5 elements and the 3 treasures a bit better. That will take you into the 3-day workshop. So lots of things you'll be discovering in that evening. And the workshop is coming up soon. The 1st of April is our cutoff point for early discount. So, for instance, it's $1,200 on April the 1st. Otherwise, it's going to be $1,500. So if you can get in early with that. And of course, we have thousands of graduates around the planet, and they get a special price to attend, right? The graduates and our current Academy Healing students, right? And in the workshop, we have a very, very powerful plasmic healing device that's going to be there in the back of the workshop that you'll be able to partake in. There's over 25 Therify centers around the world now. This is a very, very powerful healing device. You can read up more about that on therify.tech. And so you'll be getting free treatments over the 3-day workshop, which alone is worth hundreds of dollars. So all inquiries come to me, info@academyhealingnutrition.com. So I'll be able to personally work with any questions that you have, etc.
We hope to stimulate your appetite because there'll be a lot of things to taste and also some participation as well. Hopefully you'll be inspired by using the mushrooms that we'll be cooking and be excited about making stocks with some of these tonic herbs in it. And for those of you who have never made juk, well, hopefully you'll be excited about trying that out as well. And I'll be telling you also about certain equipment that is necessary that'll make your life just a little bit more easier than standing over a pot for 2 hours stirring it so you don't burn it.
Right.
So practical things, even how to cut certain vegetables and things like that, because and why it's done that way, and seasonal aspects of cooking techniques through the different seasons and why you use that particular technique, why you cut it this particular way, and so forth. Most people, when they think about Chinese food, they just think, oh, it's stir fry, but no, not always. There's usually when you eat, you have several different techniques. So not everything. To sit down and just have all stir-fried food is kind of like just sitting down and having just one type of meal or just one thing. There's so many different types of techniques for purpose, and that's to bring out the flavor of the foods. We're going into spring now, so the weather's getting a little warm. So yeah, a little bit of stir frying is fine, but still the stewing and braising technique is still very popular during this time. And then for those also knowing that, the last about 2.5 weeks of each season, there's a time where you're more susceptible to getting sick. So I'm going to prepare a soup that's called seasonal chain soup, which helps you to prevent that from happening. So yeah, it should be quite an adventure, a cultural adventure and a culinary adventure.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you, Nam Singh. As you know, I've been studying Chinese medicine for something ridiculous, 45 years, whatever it is, right? And I just love being around you with, your culinary arts, these herbs like the back of your hand. It's so much fun going to Chinatown with you. So we're going to have a lot of fun this coming up the last weekend of April, starting on Thursday night. Hopefully you can make that as well. Book nights and early, folks, and be prepared for a real culinary adventure and really starting to take your healing to the next level. And as I say, not many people know about this. Often in advertising, people use learn the 3 secrets to longevity. Well, guess what? This really is a secret. Really, there's only a handful of people around on the planet who can actually teach this, cooking with the culinary arts. And that's Nam Singh. He's one of these treasures to the world. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with you. And we'll see you soon, folks. Sign up nice and early. Ciao for now.